here comes a curveball out of left field, allegedly. Uh-oh, what's going on? King of Lightning, hey, this is Saturday, correct mundo. Why is there a review out today on Saturday? Well, like I said in my past review, I'm changing things up where instead of waiting for the official reviews to come out for you guys and gals on Monday or on Tuesday, I'm giving you cats an unofficial review on Saturday, today. Hopefully, yes. Honest to God, it's been very, very tricky. Very tricky to get the reviews out on Sunday and Monday as of late. And a lot of times, like Tuesday. And by then, spoilers already been out. Spoilers already been out, already circulating. Undeniably, it is tough stuff. However, I will still be covering the official content for the prior chapter in the next review. So what does that mean? When I do my chapter 1089 review, there will be an official section in that review for the previous chapter 1088 where we cover any of the translation differences and other notes like that that are very important, very valuable. So we're gonna see how this goes for a while, and let me know in the comment section down below how you like the reviews coming out on a Saturday rather than, let's say, on a Tuesday. Let me know. Now, if you have not seen my One Piece live stream reaction to Chapter 88, you know where to go, on my Requiem channel for that full stream reaction. But the actual full stream with hours of the post-chapter discussion are all on my twitch.tv channel, number one. Number two, if you don't know, now you do know, we do the edited anime reactions, all that fun stuff, all that jazz, all the memes, all the clips. That is on my Kingu-san YouTube channel. All that glorious fun stuff is there. JJK, soon to be, Bleach Out Your Blood War, obviously One Piece, previously Hell's Paradise, Demon Slayer, all that jazz is there. That's number two. Now, for this chapter review, we're gonna maintain masculine frame like GARP Chujo did in this chapter by reminding you how we do things here. Where, of course, we're gonna break it down step by step and piece by piece with the pace and chapter structure, with the character elements, and then finally the story progression components for this chapter. So, like the KOBY fanboys, diving onto a couch after a long days of work, let us dive headfirst into this chapter. Now, first and foremost, we have ourselves the pace and chapter structure. And this chapter has a total of 6 parts to it. Number 1 is the flashback at Marineford in a classroom that GARP is giving a lecture for. Number 2 is a jump to a different flashback after the first flashback to a few weeks ago in Amazon Lily with Blackbeard and KOBY. Number 3 is a cut to the waters near Full Alert Island in real time with Avalo Pizarro attacking GARP's ship. Then number 4 is a cut back to Pirate Island itself with GARP Company versus the Blackbeard Pirates. Number 5 is a third flashback cut of GARP recalling what Helmeppo told him about KOBY's extra training regiment. And then finally, number 6 is a cut back to real time on Pirate Island and GARP's ship in conjunction with a cut to the final panel, Egghead Island. Yo, okay, so when it comes to the pace and structure, I think it's just that. Okay. Nothing overly complicated, but there are a lot of flashback cuts in one chapter. It's 3 of them. And the second one does seem the most out of place compared to the other 2, the one in Amazon Lily, but it does at least explain how KOBY got to Full Alert Island. And other things as well, but I'll get that in later on in the video, obviously. The one thing I did find really, really odd for the pace and structure was something I mentioned in my live reaction on Thursday. It is the pace of Avalo Pizarro's right mountain hand. That was, I thought, very, very strange because given the previous chapter, it is much slower than expected. And what's even more unusual is that after GARP's major attack in this chapter, Avalo's left hand is really quick to grab his head, but his right hand is just really, really, really oddly delayed and slow, even though the left hand was like the combination of master hand and crazy hand. Yeah, Why? We kind of know why, because Oda setting up KOBY and so on, but I think it is still kind of funky, right? Like milk that you're not too sure if you should drink or not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure. It's that kind of milk. But that being said, I would say overall, the pace and structure is okay. Now, the next component for this chapter review is going to be the character components for this chapter. And number one, of course, GARP Joe. GARP's principles are on display when it comes to his value of life. GARP views all lives as not equal. All lives matter? Wrong. Not all lives matter, particularly in certain situations here, where GARP explains in a lecture that a Marine should save a baby rather than an old man if they are both stranded on an island full of wild, ferocious beasts, and you only take one on your ship. The baby's life, the life of the youth, matter more than the lives of the older, the elderly, according to GARP in this example here. And we have seen a similar mindset from other characters in the series. As of late, from the red-haired wonder himself, Shanks. Shanks in chapter 1079 told his main crew not to underestimate the growth of the young, and he wanted to know if Kid was healed up after the events of Wano Country. That was Shanks. GARP's example at the beginning of the chapter is a pretty much one-for-one what we see at the end of the chapter with GARP, where he is the old man that gets left behind while the next generation moves on. The next for GARP, we do see a high level of insight and intelligence from GARP that we haven't necessarily seen before, where GARP commands KOBY, Groose, and Helmeppo into positions that are best suited for them to play the role in destroying the giant arm of Avalo Pizarro and save the ship in a short amount of time. Even though the hand was like minus brain cell slow, fact of the matter is that it was a short window of time for the hand to come down and destroy the ship, I think. With that being said, this might be the best showcase of GARP's leadership and tactical military insight that we've seen in the series, particularly in conjunction with the opening he provides KOBY and company, and with him apparently understanding KOBY's own abilities better than KOBY himself. So that is the next part for GARP, his insight and his military tact. After this, GARP can cover a great distance relatively quickly to reach the main mountain of Pirate Island. It is a scary thought of how fast GARP really could have been back in the day when he was faster and younger. Oh, that's right. Now, after this, GARP displays a new move called the Galaxy Divide. The move seems to be a more narrow and focused version of the Galaxy Impact that we saw in 1080. You can see at the end of the chapter that there is a fissure going down the middle of the main mountain face when the narrator is speaking. That's why I say it's more focused, because it seems to be a target in the middle section of that giant mountain, and then the rest kind of caves in slightly, but we'll get to that later because it is a bit odd. And finally, in the face of death and surrounded by enemies, GARP, like Saw before him, can laugh and cry with joy, and I'm assuming pride as well. I'm assuming pride because of what he saw KOBY do, and seeing the proverbial chickens that KOBY was raising come home to roost. Speaking of KOBY, number 2 for character is going to be KOBY. We get to see more of his gallant and self-sacrificial personality on display, arguably his sense of justice, where during the lecture he was willing to save both the old man and the baby in GARP's example, noting too he himself got off the boat to make space for the old man for the baby. Next we cut to Amazon Lily, where we do see him willingly give himself up in exchange for a Marine battleship and 800 captured Marines. Blackbeard was going to capture 800 Marines in a battleship. This is important. This is important, but again, later in the video. Absolutely. But ultimately speaking for Koby, this is nothing new for his character, since we have seen him stand in front of a Kainu during Marine Ford for the sake of saving lives on both sides. It's, let's say, a reaffirmation of the type of person Koby is. So all that is Koby number one. Number two for Koby is that apparently Koby was doing more than just GARP's training regimen during his Marine training. He partook in the battleship bags. Apparently, once you start punching battleships, your raw physical might starts to get busted. He partook in the battleship bags without telling anyone but Helmevo. He would hit these battleship bags until his fist started to bleed and peel away the skin. Nasty stuff. But clearly showing you his work ethic and regiment, where he put a lot of work to be as good as he is. Now, it's not clear at all what level of physical strength he's got to at that point in time. However, it is clear that he did gain a tremendous amount of raw power, which allows him to pull off his best feat. His best feat in the story by far and away. Which, of course, number three here for his character is the honesty impact.
Not cool, totally lame.
Clearly, if there was a hero main character for a shonen,
It's me!
honesty impact. And it destroys Avalo Pisado's giant mountain arm. A very impressive feat by young Koby. And I will once again give Koby his flowers. Yes, I will. Okay, right here, my flowers. Now, the attack is clearly a play on GARP's Galaxy Impact from chapter 1080, meaning that, as far as I can tell, it's a shockwave produced by physical power amplified by hockey. The fact that we see Koby do an attack that mimics GARP's attack in 1080, and we know for a fact that Koby had to train his physical body, this proves that you need to have a lot of raw physical strength to make A, the honesty impact, and then B, its progenitor, the galaxy impact. That is now undeniable. It's not a pure hockey key ball like a Vegeta Big Bang attack, no. And Koby's feat only proves that reality. Now, the term impact for shockwaves has been around for a while. It was used all the way back in one of the best arcs in One Piece, Skypiea, factual, in chapter 257 for the impact dials that absorb kinetic energy and rebound them as shockwaves. In 1080, it looks like a shockwave given the dome nature of GARP's attack. And Koby's version, as far as I can tell, I could be wrong here, but as far as I can tell, appears to be a more narrower, straight line version compared to GARP's version, which is a more all-encompassing dome in that plaza area. What's also kind of important to know here is that Pisaro's arm seems to get compressed from the impact, but it is kind of hard to tell. I think it is there, where we do see that arm kind of get scrunched up in a way. And the attack, I think, has a lot of similarities to Dansai's Dragon Drill Dragon Nail in chapter 771, which is also a shockwave based attack via Armament Haki and the Ha Shoken. Now, on that note, we do see Koby put Armament Haki hardening on his hand, and it's the first time we've seen Koby ever do that. It was revealed in a River card that he had Armament Haki, but we haven't seen that in the story yet until this chapter, where we see him actually use Armament Haki hardening. As far as we know, this is not, keywords here, this is not Conqueror's Haki infusion. The sparks on Koby's fist are very similar to the ones that are around Sai's leg in 771, or Katakuri's Edge Square Mochi in 883, or even Ulti before she attacks Luffy when she's cocking her head back and she's charging her headbutt in chapter 983. None of these people, as far as you know, have Conqueror's Haki infusion. And we have to see, I think, a lot more evidence to prove that Koby is actually using Conqueror's Haki infusion for that attack, especially when there are no gigantic black lightning bolts that are in the area of the attack when he does it. Number one, and number two, even stage 3 or stage 4 Armament Haki, which most folks know them as Ryo and Advanced Ryo Hockey. We have to see absolutely more evidence for that before we jump the gun and say it is that. Right now, Armaki Hardening, Amplified, Physical Force, Shockwave, which follows damn near 1-for-1 with the Galaxy Impact, however, minus Conqueror's Hockey. So it's a weaker version of the Galaxy Impact because it doesn't have any Conqueror's Hockey infusion into it. It's really that simple right now for KOBY. And truth be told, there is, I think, a fundamental issue with KOBY getting to this level of power the way he did, with just a few like flashback Zenkai boosts, which seem very contrary to what was established prior. However, I think that's an issue for, let's say, the overall arc itself, rather than, let's say, for this particular chapter, though you could argue it is an issue for this chapter. Those semantics I'm still kind of parsing through. But nonetheless, it's a very impressive move by KOBY. And then also, when Helmeppo says that KOBY had destroyed a mountain-sized arm, I think it's a callback to what GARP had to do while training to beat Don Chinjao, where he did demolish several mountains that he used as sandbags. And after that, we have Prince Groose. Groose, for character, was also with KOBY Helmeppo in the Marine training classes way back when. Now we know. Number 2, Groose shows off a move called Clay Web, a net that can block the falling debris of Pizarro's arm. Considering the amount of rock that makes up Pizarro's arm, it is very impressive. Again, like a mountain size plus probably worth of rock. And it's actually a defensive move, very similar to Doflamingo's defensive move called the Spider Web in chapter 769. They're almost like 1-for-1, but it appears that for Groose it's actually upscaled to a larger area than Doflamingo. Actually, no, I'll say for sure. And the last thing for Prince Groose here is that Groose, we know he values GARP a lot, but we can argue more than expected, because when he catches on what GARP wants, he starts to cry at the end of the chapter. And that is Prince Groose. After Groose is gonna be Helmeppo. Helmeppo, like KOBY and Groose, were taking the same classes at Marine Ford for the Marine training. Number 2 is that he can take Cannonball Fire and keep on pressing forward. Because of GARP's comments and expectations, he has overcome a degree of hesitation in his actions. After Helmeppo, we get into the bad guys, Correcto Mundo. And we start off here with Avalo Pizarro. Pizarro can take a big attack from GARP and KOBY while fused with the island, but still not get knocked out or even mortally wounded. Furthermore, even though KOBY destroyed the whole mountain arm of Pizarro, that did not apply to his actual arm. All we see is like one line and then some blood. His whole arm wasn't destroyed completely for the main body, meaning the main body does not suffer the same amount of damage, in theory, as the actual island body itself. And one thing I did notice is that when GARP did do the Galaxy Divide on the main head, it was like reeling back as if it were a person getting punched, not like a mountain getting blown away. The physiology of Pizarro's ability is quite interesting here, where at times more human, other times more rock, and potentially the damage is not necessarily transferred evenly from the rock structures to the main body. I wonder if, let's say, if Pizarro heals, is it possible where also the island itself would automatically repair because he is fused with the island itself? That would be interesting. Food for thought when it comes to the Isle no Mi. Now, after Pizarro, we have San Juan Wolf. San Juan Wolf was able to recover from the last chapter and whatever happened before that chapter off screen. So he came back and he was just pissed. After that, finally, was Kuzan. Kuzan has an ice spear of some kind that can completely pierce the shoulder or chest of the Iron GARP. And that is it when it comes to the character components for this chapter, the meatiest components for this chapter. Now we have the story section for this chapter review. Number 1 here, we have KOBY, Helmeppo, and Groose. We're all in the same retraining class and lectures at Marine Ford. And it's pretty obvious here, but given the time frame, this would be the beginning of the series. So let's say around the East Blue or early Grand Line of the Strax journey. That's number 1 for story. Number 2, peep this, please. Villain time, peep this.
Tell me.
Blackbeard, after the fight Amazon Lily in chapter 1059, initially had 1 battleship and 800 Marines captured as hostages, okay? So folks on rag on Kaido for Orochi having like 1,000 hostages. No. Blackbeard is the real ultra villain who absolutely wants to capture people. KOBY exchanged himself for these Marines, and other Marines like Vice Admiral Yamakaji let it happen. So there is a lot to unpack there. 3 things. 1, first, because KOBY is Sword, he is allowed to freely do like wild man plays, and Yamakaji won't even stop him because it was explained in 1080 where KOBY is Sword, and that's why he was a bust as a hostage and a bargaining chip. So that's what they said in 1080, and we're seeing that played out in Amazon Lily at that point in time. That's number 1. And number 2 here, also shown in 1080, Blackbeard has slaves on Pirate Island. Why? Were the 800 Marines going to also be slaves? Or were they more likely bargaining chips in a deal, let's say, with the world government? Blackbeard has very intriguing moves, and people need to pay attention to what Mr. All Day Every Day is doing here. I have to do, I think in the future, a focused video on this subject, but I believe that what he's trying to do ultimately is what folks want Buggy to do. And remember, please remember this. In chapter 1079, there was a Blackbeard ship that was seen on the coast of the island. And there are a lot of Marines that are going to the island right now. Blackbeard is not done yet. But another video, I promise, another video, another day. And number 3, when it comes to this whole thing with KOBY and Sword and Blackbeard, is that we do see that in 1059, regular Marines, meaning non-Sword members, could not act on Teach without headquarter orders. So, because Teach is a Yonko, he is allowed to just grab 800 hostages and a battleship because regular Marines are not allowed to make a move unless they get orders from headquarters. But Sword Marines like KOBY can make their plays because we know they're not in the registrar officially. So it's kind of crazy how a Vice Admiral can let Blackbeard just take his boys. Yonko status has perks. Emperors have a lot of perks, that's undeniable. So those, I think, were low-key things that folks may actually have skipped or not even noticed when it comes to story progression. These things are like super important. But we're not done yet, where we do see later on, of course, when we cut back to Full Lead Island, that under GARP's orders, KOBY, Groose, Helmeppo, they make a play to destroy Pizarro's arm. GARP does his own studly things and gives the lads opening. Helmeppo defends, KOBY attacks, and Groose protects the ship. GARP's ship is able to escape Full Lead Island, but not GARP himself. Like I've been saying for a long time, this was not going to end well for GARP. It was not. You're welcome. Yes. And GARP, according to the narrator, is now MIA, missing in action, after successfully rescuing KOBY. And then we get probably the most shocking news of all. We see Egghead Island the first time in literal months. Egghead Island is back, and the Marines have arrived at the location, meaning that some time has passed since we last saw Egghead Island in chapter 1079. And literally in real time, it was since March have we been on Egghead Island. And that is it when it comes to the story progression components for this chapter of One Piece. So, final thoughts. man. Overall, I would say this chapter is better than the last chapter. Yes. When it comes to character, it is robust. I do have an issue with the Zenkai boost via like 3 different flashbacks, but at the same time, this could be indicative of just an issue with the arc structure rather than, let's say, the chapter itself. But I think I'm leaning towards it being an issue with the chapter itself. But again, I'm still unclear with that. That's all right now. I'm not gonna really stand by it. Story-wise, even though it's an odd flashback, because it's there, the Amazon Lily flashback with KOBY and BLACKBEARD, it does give us more story insight on someone who was worthy of being the final villain, the final fight of the series. And the last panels for GARP that we see in the chapter were really good, tough, powerful panels. Kuzan and the lads surrounding GARP, who was laughing as he is seemingly on his deathbed. But if you see my streams, you know I don't think he's gonna die. I think for sure he's gonna be a bargaining chip that they're gonna be using to make full Alette Island a bona fide, world government certified stamp of approval country, which is gonna be crazy because that's gonna give BLACKBEARD a lot more power than you would think and opportunities that, again, a video that I'm gonna have to focus on for the future. I promise you I will get to it. I will. So overall, I would say chapter rating for my book is gonna be a 7.5 to an 8, a great out of 10. That's right. If you enjoy this video and the content I do at large, then make sure to support your boy with a thumbs up. Of course, subscribe to the channel and click on that bell to join the notification squad, or I think even double tap subscription and then click on notifications and you'll be updated regularly. So on that note, I'm gonna catch you cats on the flip side.
See you. Bye bye.